So this is CAT 2025 slot 3 analysis. First take has already been taken. Now let's understand the section by section. Mina sir, would you like to throw some light on verbal section?
Yes, sir. In fact, if I observe one particular RC that is in my mind, that's top of my mind, that is AI and its application on ethics or moralistic aspects. So how humans have been doing it and how AI would be able to do it. Now, one very unique thing that I observed it about this particular passage was the questions were simple to read and simple to understand, but the options were fairly large. So usually students have the habit of reading, one question, probably one or maximum 2 lines of the options. In this, we had good 3 lines of options or 4 lines of options. If I can, liken this thing with that decision making. So where each question gives you a scenario, when you read and you understand, and then you go ahead and apply. Other than that, the second one, the RC that I did, second one was this dam construction and its repercussion on this
Yeah.
environment and all other things. That was also easier to read and easier to understand. So I think out of these top 2 passages which are coming to my mind, this one I would put the dam wala part to be the easier one. But this one, what do you call it, AI and its application was a bit difficult to execute. Reading wise, fairly easy because almost everybody keeps on reading about what AI is on in articles. But the question were fairly difficult to read. Options, especially, were slightly more dense compared to the other options.
Yeah. Puneet sir,
Along with that, one question of this odd one out was on music and emotions.
right.
So, how humans have been listening to the music, and it is a cultural, cross-culture aspects. So that's what top 3 things that are coming to my mind.
Yeah. Puneet sir, if you could throw light on VA part of the section or the other 2 RCs, if you could go through.
I don't actually remember the RCs probably.
Okay.
Yeah.
So anyone, Chintan sir, if you could.
Yeah. So, as Minna sir also mentioned, we had like 2 RCs, and he correctly said the 2 easy RCs were the ones with the memory versus imagination RC. That was, I guess, one of the RCs. The dams one, the language was difficult, I felt. The questions were fairly doable. Like once you get through the problems of understanding the RC, everything else eventually was easy. There was one which was about the Forest Act, the
Yes, yes.
the
Yes,
1982
yes.
versus the
Yeah.
1838 or 1858.
Right.
That I felt
1972 versus
was,
something. Yes, yes.
yeah. So that was a fairly straightforward RC, but I felt the questions was where the problem was, similar to the AI one. Because we had heard this in the analysis of the first 2 slots as well, that there was one RC where the options were like 3-4 lines long. That was the AI
Mm.
one. And similarly, here it was the forest one was also straightforward, but the questions were where it was tricky. So ideally, according to me, I would say 1 or 2 RCs you could have attempted entirely. Everything else could have been just a one-off questions, 1 or 2 questions, and then move on. With regards to the VA part, the para completions were fairly straightforward, but para jumbles, one easy, one difficult is what I felt. Summary, one easy, one difficult. But then again, I felt it was slightly confusing. So if we just look at the
Also, Chintan
overall,
sir, I think there was one RC on that tribal wala part.
yeah, which is memory
Tribal
versus
art or
imagination, yeah.
something.
Yeah,
Yes.
which is the act. Yeah.
Mm.
No, I think
No, no, no. The
that
act
was
is a
That
different
one
different.
was
one. This is
different.
memory versus imagination, which was
Yeah,
the
memory
tribals
versus
one.
imagination. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we
And
could.
That was
That
I
one
felt,
also
was this tribal memory imagination was a bit difficult to read, as in if I
difficult.
read
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
when I
yeah,
read the first
difficult to read.
paragraph
Questions were
itself.
easy. Yeah.
So
Okay,
Chintan
okay.
sir, Mina sir, if we compare it with the difficulty level of CAT 2024 slot 1, how would you rate VA as a section?
I think I'll keep it as slightly more difficult compared to the previous one. One question that has been giving trouble to almost all the students is that when the 4 words are given and then we are supposed to figure out which one is the correct sequence of the words comparing to this paragraph or passage. That was also there. But the density of the paragraphs along with density of the options as well, I would put this thing slightly tougher than what we had in CAT 2024 slot 1.
Right. Absolutely agreed. So I would say slightly more difficult, but more than difficult, I would want to use the word tricky, because it wasn't like an entire RC straightforward. You had to pick and choose from the RCs as well. So, like the ones who could let go would be the ones who would be better off. Is what I felt with regards to the overall
So I
section.
think RC was about selection and VA was a bit tricky. On and all, if a good student is there, he could have
Yes.
attempted these questions.
Yes,
Anyone,
yes.
Girish sir, Puneet sir, if you would throw some light on DILR as a section?
So DILR as a section was slightly on easier side because out of 5 sets, at least I would say 2.5 to 3 sets were pretty much doable. So I would say that the 4 friends solving puzzle, that visual puzzle and a numeric puzzle, that was
That
the
was the
easiest one.
easiest, yeah, of
That
course.
was the easiest one. So that shouldn't have been left at all.
Yes.
Then the set
Circular
on 6
arrangement.
friends calling each other and circular arrangement.
Circular arrangement, yes, that
Yeah.
was also
7
easy.
friends.
So out of these remaining 2 sets, at least say 1.5 to even good student would have been able to attempt even both sets.
Right,
However, the remaining 2 were atrocious.
right.
Mm.
I think there was also one question on incoming, outgoing. That probably would have been the third selection
Yeah.
if a student wanted to do. And then there was a currency exchange set. That could have been the fifth one. And the last would have been the trade balance.
Yes.
Trade balance was probably the most difficult, according to me. So there are 5 sets. 2 of them were easy. 2 of them were moderate to difficult. And one was very, very difficult.
Very
That's
difficult.
what-
Yes.
So I would say here the game becomes of accuracy. If you have solved those 2 easy set, and if you are very, very accurate, you will do great, because probably the last 2 sets, which was on trade balance and the currency exchange, would not have been done by most of the people. So the accuracy becomes the game.
Right.
Agreed.
Chetan sir, I just wanted to add one thing with DLR. So, on a comparative note, ideally, I felt that with the first 2 slots, there were like 2 slots stand out which you could easily do. With the third slot, personally, I felt that there were 3 sets which you could have done. The fourth one you could have struggled, and then the fifth one was something which was not to be even meddled with. So,
I would put it 2.5.
overall,
So two and
yeah,
a
so
half
2.5,
would be
because with
doable.
the calls set,
Yeah.
I guess 3 theta questions were fairly straightforward.
Yes, 3 questions, but fourth was not straightforward. I think there were 5
Yeah.
questions. So out of 5,
Mm.
3
No, 4
were
questions,
doable.
yeah.
4 questions. So yeah, 3 were doable, 1 was not. So it's 2.75.
Yeah.
Let's put it that way. Yeah, but the rest 2 set and 1 question were extremely difficult.
Yeah.
That's what I would say.
I
Puneet
would
sir,
say the only
any-
saving grace with those could have been that there were a lot of theta questions there. So maybe if someone
Yeah,
wants to take a
11 of
guess,
them.
they could have
11 of
gone for
them were
theta.
theta. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, I think it was more about also looking at the visualization part of it. For example, when a person looks at the standard graph, that puzzles wala set that we have, it's not a standard graph that we come across. It's not a fairly bar graph or a pie chart. So that way, the way it was presented may make it slightly tricky, but once you understand what's the pulse of that set, it was one of the most easiest set to crack.
Right.
Even the arrangement puzzle that we have, it was no doubt an easy set, but the way it was framed. So even though those 2 sets looks easy, but the way it was framed is what we could say is a challenging part, I think. So if 2 sets a student is able to do those 2 sets, he would fairly have a good percentile in terms of the DLR section that we had in this.
Yeah, so
I
basically,
would add one more thing, Saryam, that is the arrangement set. 7 students were supposed to be arranged in a circle. Last 2 questions, I talked to around 3-4 students after the test. They told that the last 2 questions were a bit difficult to be understood, as in they had to read it twice, exactly what is asked, and then they had to execute it. So
Even for
even though
that
the
matter,
set was
yeah,
fairly simple.
yeah. Even for that puzzles wala, the first 2 questions were very straightforward. You would just observe
Yeah.
the graph and get the answer. But when you go to the 4th question, where you have to find the average time taken on numerical questions, it
yes.
was not a so you have to, good thing is that if the student has been able to reject the difficult ones, then he or she can put time on that set and do it. Now he or she knows that बाकी सब सेट तो नहीं बन रहे, तो चलो ये इवन तो थोड़ा लेंदी है कर तो लेते हैं at least.
Precisely. So basically, the ones who have done these 3 sets with absolutely, I would say, God level accuracy would be the one who will be benefited the most.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I would like to
Absolutely.
add one more point to that puzzles wala set. So there were 4 friends and they were solving 10 questions and there were 2 graphs. So there are a lot of data points.
Right.
But if a student goes through the questions, what is exactly asked, then probably all the 80 data points don't
Were
have to
not
be
needed.
put in
Yeah.
on a paper. So depending on what is asked,
Right.
the level of effort required could have been brought down.
That would have been reduced.
Exactly. Adding to what Girish sir is saying. So here again, getting back to that puzzles question, when in the third question, penultimate question, you were asked to say I think the third numerical puzzle was which, in
How
Yeah.
which
much time?
Which of the
Yes.
following?
which order.
Yeah.
Now, as a student, I can fix any one of the 4% and try to find out. But if the student was smart enough to also read the fourth question where they were talking about a specific person, he should
Right.
have taken that person
That
only
person.
and
Yeah.
got both the answers quickly. So
Definitely.
these are
Yeah.
some
That could
smart
have been in
techniques the
one.
student could have used. Yeah.
So if we could move on to quant. So Girish sir, if you could just throw some light on quant paper as well.
So overall, I would say that the level of difficulty for slot 3 was somewhere in between slot 1 and slot 2. So slot 2 was on a more difficult side and slot 1 was slightly less difficult. So this was in somewhere in between these two. Now, one striking feature of this section was there were some sitters. So they could have been, or they should have been attempted, must not have been left. However, a lot of questions involved lengthy calculations. So personally, I had to use calculator number of times, which I don't remember when I used last while attempting CAT. So that was the thing. And some questions were rather tough nuts to crack. So they should have been just left alone.
As a question
So
is a good
adding-
mix of easy, moderate, and difficult questions.
Adding to one more point to Girish sir, so usually we have seen a lot of questions from arithmetic, where the numbers are fairly small, as in 200 kilograms or 300 kilograms, or salary have been 3,000, 4,000. In this context, we had salary ranging to 60,000, profit to 15,600 something. So
Yeah.
because the numbers were slightly on the larger side, that's where I think we had to use calculator multiple times. Again,
Apart from that,
agreeing
there
to
was a ratio for 60 liters in 15:4.
Yeah.
Now that also
Yes, yes.
becomes very tedious to solve.
Correct.
Apart from that, there was an under root of something that was equals to 9701. So the numbers were not very friendly, where you could have just solved it with your head. You must have used calculator multiple times. You must use calculator multiple times to ensure that you are having a good quant paper. As a mix, I would say I could find out 8 questions of arithmetic, 3 on geometry, 2 or 3 on numbers. There were fairly good questions on algebra as well, 2 to 3 questions. Modern math had a lesser number of questions. There was a question on probably a set theory, and then probably an AP. PNC probability was not seen in the paper. I think
Yeah, so there was one set
Functions,
theory question, one logarithms question, one
Yeah.
arithmetic progression, very straightforward, and one functions more or less.
functions question.
Right.
So 2, 3 around modern math. But yeah, so Tridhal, just adding to your point, one thing that I felt this year, so every single time when we look at a CAT paper, there's always a 1.5, 2 minute solution, and there's a 30-second solution. Or where you could just be smart with using the options, or you could just like assume a values.
Right.
Here, I felt we did not have that much freedom in terms of assuming values or just pinpointing one condition and then working from there. And that is where it kind of became very frustrating beyond a point, because as Giri sir also mentioned, that we had to use the calculator a lot of time. And that because of the whole interface and the lag and everything, it takes a lot of time as well. And I feel that is where the difficulty level kind of I felt was slightly more as
Even
compared
some
to
of the questions said that what is the nearest approximately number to get the correct answer.
There
That
were
is
3
something which
questions
is
more
not
or less,
very
yeah.
often we see in CAT.
Plus, I remember adding to Sir's point, I remember one question in CAT 2024, which was that fruit wala question where you
Yeah.
had to balance the variables. So that
Yeah,
was
man.
one question in the last, and that was repeated question from 2023.
23, yeah.
This year in 2025 slot 3, what I found out there were around 2 questions where you had to balance things. So one was that the value of PQR, where R is square between
Square
150
between
to
150 to
500,
400, yeah.
900 total. Plus the last one, I think that was last question in my slot, where this 2 students were there. Total students were 1,500. Then we had three groups were there.
1,500
Arts, science,
One was
commerce, yeah.
S, and then
Arts, science, commerce. There was some
there
feasibility
as well.
variance,
I
yeah.
think we had to do balance the variables. So I think 2 is too much. I think 1 is okay. I found to be too much for a particular 40-minute section.
Fine. If we go with the numbers, so what would be the good attempt and good score in VARC if Chintan and Mirajar, you could just throw some light on that.
I think in VARC, any student who has attempted, 3 RCs along with 4 what do you call VA question. So 3 RCs around 12 question, 4 16, 17 attempt, and let's say good accuracy around 15 correct and 3 incorrect. I think that would put him in a very higher or good level percentiles, as in beyond 95 for sure. So
Chintan sir?
15 attempt, 3 correct, 3 incorrect, something like this.
So yeah, more or less same. So around like last year, I guess we had 36 as a cutoff for 99 percentile. So I don't think that number is going to change a lot. More or less, it should be around that number itself. So anything beyond 30, the student can be hoping for a 96, 97 percentile plus with regards to VA. The only thing again, what comes here is that how smartly were they attempting or picking the questions, and that kind of I feel was a theme across all the 3 sections, especially VA and DLR. So with VA specifically, I feel 2 RCs and then 1 or 2 questions from the other 2 RCs would like take your total VA attempts to RC attempts to around 11, 12, and then 3, 4 questions from VA should be enough with a 75% accuracy, and yeah, somewhere around 33 is what I feel should be a good score for 96, 97 percentile. Again, for 85 percentile, which is the sectional cutoff, it should more or less follow the trends of the last year, which is around 18, 19 to 20 marks, not more than that.
So probably VARC seems to be at a similar level of difficulty what we have seen in CAT 2024.
Yeah.
For DILR, Girish sir, if you have any numbers, that what would be the good attempt, good score, cutoff, and 99 percentile?
So we are putting 99 percentile at around 32 types. So 3 sets had very good accuracy. Should be good enough to get 99 percentile. And in case student makes some mistakes, and probably with 3 sets, then also something like 95, 96 percentile should be achievable.
Right.
And for QA as well, about 10 to 12 questions with high accuracy would be good enough to get 99 percentile.
So more or less, if we compare it with CAT 2024, I feel QA cutoff may go a bit down. So
Yes.
as an overall, if we take this paper for quant, definitely 99 percentile will be a bit lesser than what it was in CAT 2024.
Yes.
I think one question lesser.
Sorry.
Tridhar
More
sir,
or less,
one
yeah.
question lesser. As in last year we had 11 questions were equal to
11 net
99%.
correct.
I think
Yeah.
this year
Yeah.
it would be 10
It should
questions.
be 10 questions.
10
yes.
net
10
correct.
net
Yes.
correct. Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. And DILR and verbal seems to be on a similar level of what we had in the last year, right?
Yeah.
Great.
So with regards to DLR overall, just one thing that I wanted to add. So with DLR, I feel that for the 85 percentile mark, also we could be looking at a slightly changed number, because every section, every slot, more or less, I felt we had 2 sets which were doable. So like last year we had, I guess, 18 or something. It could maybe go up till 19, 20, maybe 1 or 2 marks here or there. But yeah, for the minimum percentiles also, that could be a change. But otherwise, the 99 percentile cutoff should more or less be the same.
So basically, if we just conclude this, we can understand that CAT 24 slot 3 as an overall had verbal similar to CAT 25 as a paper, slot 3 paper had similar level as verbal. DILR was the game of accuracy. All of us would have attended three sets, 2.5 set. So the
Yeah.
one who does accurately generally gets well. And quant was slightly easier than CAT 23 and slightly difficult than CAT 24. That's what
Yes.
seems to be a conclusive
Yes.
argument. If anyone wants to add anything, we are open. I think if there is any
So
question.
one last question which I have for the panel, basically. So it's just that since we are slot 3, we've seen what has happened in slot 1, 2. So individual opinions on what do you think was the comparative relative strength in terms of, let's say, slot 1, slot 2, slot 3. So what did you all feel overall?
I think Girish sir will be in a better position to say because he
Yeah.
has been observing all the sets, shifts. Yeah.
So definitely for DILR, slot 3 was slightly on the easier side. And for QA, it was in between slot 1 and slot 2.
Okay.
So that is what I feel.
Minas sir, any views on verbal maybe comparatively?
I did not follow the slot 1 and slot 2 because my center was pretty far, so I was driving.
Yeah.
But the third one, I think we have discussed quite details on that.
Okay. Any opinions, Puneet sir, Tridal sir?
I think
Uh,
more or less I agree to what Giri sir and Minas sir has said. But yeah, see, I think students should look forward to get the response sheet first. Right now, all these analysis that we are doing are based on the paper that we have appeared and what the information that we have got from the students. So let the response sheet come. I think within 4 or 5 days it generally comes out, and students should start preparing for other exams like SNAPSAT. That should be the first priority as of now, in my opinion.
Yes, I totally
Yeah.
agree. In fact, tomorrow onwards itself, I would suggest students to focus, because in the very next 6 days you have your SNAP, and most students have 11, 12, 13 as their NMAT first attempt date. So yes, in 3, 4 days we will have this. We'll definitely have this approximate percentiles and all that. So that is one parallel that students should think, and the other parallel has to be on SNAP and NMAT.
Right.
Fine, I guess. So we'll keep up to this. I think. Thank you all for listening to this and viewing this analysis. All the very best to all the students. We hope that you get great percentile in CAT and all the upcoming exam, and have a great GDPI preparation time as well.
Yeah.
All the best to everyone.
Thank you. All the best. And see you during GDPI preparation and for mock interviews. Thank you.